Is resumed. At the dinner break, the House was debating the Misuse of Drugs Amendment Bill, and the Honourable Peter Dunn was speaking. Peter Dunn has 9 minutes and 25 seconds remaining should he wish to take the call.
Thank you, Mr Speaker.
The Honourable Peter Dunn.
Let me just return to where I was at about 6 o'clock. I had just uttered the words at the outset when the adjournment was called. So let me pick up from that point about the Misuse of Drugs Amendment Bill that I've just moved be introduced. And what I was going to say at 6 o'clock was that this bill is not about a comprehensive review of drug legislation in this country, because as members will be aware, the Law Commission is currently consulting on an issues paper which addresses drug legislation from a first principles approach, and Parliament will have the opportunity to more broadly discuss how we deal with drugs in this country once the Law Commission has presented its final recommendations to the government. However, this bill will achieve several important things. First, sir, it closes off a source of precursor substances for the illegal manufacture of methamphetamine. Second, it makes targeted changes to the Misuse of Drugs Act, which are necessary for the effective administration of drug control. And in particular, it removes thalidomide as a controlled drug, as it is now more appropriately controlled under the Medicines Act. The bill also removes the exclusion that a hazardous substance cannot also be a restricted substance. It broadens the definition of amphetamine analogues, and it allows greater control over drug paraphernalia. Mr Speaker, it's generally widely accepted that New Zealand has a problem with methamphetamine. Methamphetamine is the only illegal stimulant drug commonly manufactured in our country, and we have high rates of use by international standards. A recent survey showed that just over 2% of New Zealanders aged 16 to 64 years had used methamphetamine in the previous year. Methamphetamine is a particularly problematic illegal drug in New Zealand, and it causes significant harms to individuals, to families and communities. It increases the risk of cardiovascular problems, convulsions and mental health disturbances, including paranoia and violent behaviour. Methamphetamine use is especially concerning in those with mental health problems, issues with anger and a predisposition for violence. And gangs and other organised criminal groups are closely involved with the manufacture and the supply of methamphetamine, and the trade of this drug is associated with significant crime and violence. So it is vital that as a Parliament we take all reasonable steps to address the use of methamphetamine in New Zealand. In September 2009, Cabinet agreed to a comprehensive package of measures to control methamphetamine precursors, to break drug supply chains, improve access and routes into drug treatment, improve support for the community to combat this drug, and provide stronger leadership by the government. This package was announced by the Prime Minister last October when he launched a new methamphetamine action plan, which aims to significantly reduce the use of methamphetamine and consequently to lead to a reduction of the harms it causes in this country. The next logical step that we must take to reduce the harm from this dangerous drug is to restrict the availability of the key ingredients that are required for its manufacture. These ingredients are the substances pseudoephedrine and ephedrine, with pseudoephedrine being the main precursor of choice by drug manufacturers in New Zealand. Members will be aware that pseudoephedrine is currently available over the counter in many pharmacies and a number of cold and flu remedies. However, the advice of the Expert Advisory Committee on Drugs and also the Prime Minister's Chief Science Advisor is that there are effective alternatives to pseudoephedrine available. The harms posed by the diversion of pseudoephedrine to the manufacture of methamphetamine outweigh the need for the ongoing over-the-counter availability of preparations containing this substance. So this bill therefore reclassifies pseudoephedrine and ephedrine as Class B controlled drugs under the Misuse of Drugs Act 1975. This reclassification will have the effect of removing the over-the-counter availability of preparations containing these substances from pharmacies and will ensure they are only available with a prescription from a medical practitioner. This will restrict the availability of these substances and make it difficult for potential manufacturers of methamphetamine to access the key ingredients to make the drug. Reclassification of these substances as Class B controlled drugs will also give the Police and Customs Service increased powers to control supply, such as being able to obtain a warrant to intercept communications. The penalty for unlawful dealing of Class B controlled drugs is imprisonment not exceeding 14 years. The penalty for unlawful possession or use of these drugs is imprisonment for a term not exceeding 3 months or to a fine not exceeding $500 or both. This reclassification will also require pharmacists in the pharmaceutical industry to comply with additional restrictions associated with a Class B controlled drug, such as safe storage. So in order to give industry time to bring into effect these changes, the bill proposes that the provisions relating to ephedrine and pseudoephedrine will not come into force until 3 months following the date of enactment. Mr. Speaker, the bill also establishes the quantity or amount at or over which these substances are presumed to be for supply to a level of 10 grams. I want to acknowledge with thanks the report of the Attorney-General on the Bill of Rights about implications of establishing a presumption for the supply of ephedrine and pseudoephedrine. The Attorney-General has raised some concerns that the quantities of ephedrine and pseudoephedrine to be presumed to be for supply are not consistent with the New Zealand Bill of Rights Act 1990. So I fully acknowledge these concerns, which have also been raised in the past, that presuming any substance to be for supply may be in breach of one's presumption of innocence. So for this reason, I support the Law Commission's review of this matter within the wider review that's underway into the Misuse of Drugs Act, and I will take the Commission's recommendations in regard to the presumption for supply very seriously. But it's not the intention of this bill to second-guess the outcome of the Law Commission's review, and under the current Act, if a specific presumption for supply quantity is not set, then a default presumption for supply of 56 grams will take effect. And possession of that quantity of pseudoephedrine would be the equivalent of taking a full dose of cold remedy every day for 6 months, which is clearly excessive and brings with it a real risk of being used to make methamphetamine. The presumption for supply of 10 grams that the bill proposes was that recommended by the Expert Advisory Committee on Drugs following careful consideration, and I have accepted that committee's recommendation. In addition to providing for the reclassifications of ephedrine and pseudoephedrine, the bill also provides an opportunity to address 4 other important matters that have been awaiting legislative action. First, the bill, as I said earlier, removes thalidomide from Schedule 1 of the Act in order that this substance is no longer a Class A controlled drug. Everyone in the House, I'm sure, is aware of the tragic circumstances of the 1950s and 1960s when thalidomide was widely and improperly used. But it's not a psychoactive substance and it has no potential to be abused. Its placement in the Misuse of Drugs Act is therefore an anomaly. Thalidomide is actually a medicine with legitimate applications, and accordingly, the Medicines Act 1981 is the most appropriate legislative mechanism to control it, with strict guidelines being made to prohibit its prescription during pregnancy. A notice in the New Zealand Gazette to schedule thalidomide as a prescription-only medicine will be issued concurrently to the passage of this bill to ensure that appropriate controls around the substance remain in place. The bill will also correct a problematic overlap between the Misuse of Drugs Act and the Hazardous Substances and New Organisms Act 1996 by removing the exclusion that a hazardous substance cannot also be a restricted substance. The restricted substances regime is an important mechanism to place robust controls around low-risk psychoactive drugs such as so-called party pills. These substances would otherwise not have sufficient evidence of harm to warrant classification as controlled drugs. But the current wording of the legislation unintentionally acts as a barrier, preventing the scheduling of any substance as a restricted substance. So the bill's amendment proposes to remove this interference and to allow for the continued scheduling of low-risk drugs that would otherwise not be controlled as restricted substances. The bill also makes some amendments to the definition of amphetamine analogues, again a recommendation from the Expert Advisory Committee on Drugs, and it finally, sir, will expand the provisions for prohibiting the importation and supply of utensils used for the purpose of administering controlled drugs. The bill provides for notices to be made to make it an offence to possess utensils for the purpose of sale or supply, and prohibit the importation of incomplete utensils, which, for example, only require the addition of a metal cone to burn cannabis to become usable. This will allow police and customs to move more effectively to enforce the utensils provisions in the current legislation and to minimise the visibility and availability of drug paraphernalia. Mr. Speaker, this bill seeks to address problematic drug use in New Zealand through a number of measures, and I consequently commend it to the House.
The question is the motion be agreed to. I call the Honourable Ruth Dyson.